Good evening. We welcome you to this September 15th meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission. We ask that you all rise and join with us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and we have a new member joining us tonight on the Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. J. Paul Bradford, and our counselor, Mr. Dan Key, will administer the oath of office.
Would stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, J. Paul Bradford,
I, J. Paul Bradford,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof,
that I will faithfully execute,
that I will faithfully execute,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
the office of Commissioner
the office of Commissioner,
according to law,
according to law,
and I do further solemnly swear
and I do further solemnly swear
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
I, being a citizen of this state,
I, being a citizen of this state,
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
within this state nor out of it,
within this state nor out of it,
nor have I sooner accepted a challenge
nor have I sooner accepted a challenge
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
to fight a duel with deadly weapons,
nor have I acted as second
nor have I acted as second
in carrying a challenge,
in carrying a challenge,
nor aided nor assisted any person
nor aided nor assisted any person
thus offended, so help me God.
thus offended, so help me God.
Okay, if you will sign right there. You got your own pen, good. Done.
Congratulations and welcome. Glad to have you with us. Now, Mr. Summers, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benberry, Mr. Bradford,
Present.
Mr. Morrison,
Here.
Mr. Emke, Mr. Shadle,
Here.
Mr. Wade,
Here.
Chair Casillas.
Here. As our first item of business, we're going to have the approval of the minutes.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that the reading of the minutes for the August 18, 2014 be waived and the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the Secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Shadle. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Mr. Shadle, you have the first item of business?
Yes. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Rash Cycle Company, Inc. for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 700 and 712 Kentucky Avenue. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second?
Second by Wade.
Yeah, and
I was going to say, is there anyone here to
I
speak?
don't see the engineer for this, and I don't know where they're at, but as far as the plat, we didn't have any comments. Us in engineering and fire prevention, we was all fine with it, so.
It's basically abolishing two lines and reestablishing one line.
Yes.
Exactly.
One of the line runs through a business anyway, so construction, a structure, so should be abolished.
Yeah, should be.
Are there any questions? I'm always a bit hesitant to approve something when someone's not here to speak on it, but frankly, this is fairly simple, I believe. Does anyone have any objection to voting on this tonight? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Bradford,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Mr. Morrison, you have our last item of business.
Yes, madam, I do. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Grand Rivers Properties, LLC, for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 2000 and 2024 Park Avenue and 615 North 21st Street. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Shadle.
This piece of property is at the corner of Park Avenue and 21st. If you're familiar with McNabb Elementary School, right across the street from it. We are abolishing 2 lines that are dashed in there. Actually, the brick building was on the smaller track, and the frame house and the garage were on the larger track, and he's kind of wanting to swap that. He's wanting to, instead of having the property line perpendicular with Park Avenue, we're actually making one perpendicular with 21st Street and squaring that property up where it will be, the frame house will be on the smaller track and the brick building will be on the larger track. We do have a garage that encroaches across the property line. It's been that way for several years, as far as I know, by aerial photography. This is, of course, on Park Avenue where several years ago they acquired more right-of-way and widened all that when they built the loop. That also creates the front yard line to be changed, which makes a brick building across it, but it is a pre-existing condition, so it's just the way it is. And whether he keeps that small brick building and the frame house, I'm not for sure. I haven't asked him that question. I don't know. But he wanted to separate the brick building from the frame house in a different manner when he bought it, so that's why we're changing. That's why we're coming before the commission. It's actually surrounded. I mean, you got Park Avenue on the north side, the west side's 21st Street, and the south side's a existing 15-foot alley, and it is improved. It's gravel. So the bottom line is we're abolishing 2 property lines and creating one to separate the 2 tracks.
Questions?
Josh, my only question would be, considering how much intricacies and different things are in this, are our notes more detailed than what we get of why they're doing and how the pre-existing conditions of the taking of the widening of Park Avenue and so forth? Okay.
As far as more detailed notes, no, we don't know that. But as far as the building, it's a non-conforming use since that setback changed. And by the zoning ordinance, they can maintain and repair and.
Yes.
and-
I'm just curious, if somebody ever comes in and says, why did the commission on September the 15th do this? And did we, just to make sure that we didn't create these, I guess I'm looking for a history somewhere in the file of how this got done, is what I'm asking.
Right. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, basically, the brick building's been there for probably 40 years.
Oh, and I understand that, and with the taking for Park Avenue's expansion created its
We're not-
issue.
We're not doing anything by this. I mean, we're abolishing a side lot line. We're not creating anything that's not pre-existing. I mean, we're not changing anything.
Well, I understand that, but we're dealing with a property that had a number of issues to begin with, is my question. So the answer that I'm hearing is no, we don't really have a documentation trail that would show how these things took place.
Right.
He's done a very good job of articulating it. I'm asking if it is written anywhere, and I'm hearing the answer is no.
Well, there would be at the courthouse. There'd be a taking of the property.
You'd have to recreate it though, but it's not in
You could
it's
go-
not in our files.
Yeah, you could go to the courthouse. Probably Dr. McGarvey had this building at that time. And he got paid quite a bit of money by the
Sure.
state to take part of his land, and so
I guess the thing that needs to be clear here is if they decide they want to redevelop this land, let's say they want to tear down the brick building and build another building, it would have to conform to
Right.
what the new
I'd have
property.
to go downstairs and they would require a site plan that wouldn't be in violation of the building.
Right. They couldn't put the property back where the brick house is now. In other words,
line.
in the non-conforming area. They would have to put it within the conforming area.
Right. What this 8,000 square foot lot that the house sits on, that's the smallest lot area in the R3 zone, I believe, that we allow by zoning for density. And that's what they created to give that larger lot by Park Avenue more area for redevelopment. I'm assuming. As far as the future of that brick building, I don't know if they plan to tear it down and rebuild, or if they're going to try to reuse that building. That end, I don't know at this time for sure.
Well, here's another question, just kind of thinking outside the box here. If they decided they wanted to add on to that brick building, not tear it down, but add on to it, would that be allowable even though they are changing the character of the building, and would it have to conform to the
It
There's a
can't.
lot.
It can't be made any more non-conforming. For example, if they wanted to add on to the front,
Right.
they couldn't do that.
Right.
If they wanted to add on to the side or
Or the
the
back.
rear, they can do that.
If they wanted to add to the side on the upper half there, they couldn't, though.
No, not up here, not past the
Not-
25-foot.
Not past the front
They'd have to
building.
come back 25 feet.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, I just want to be clear on that, in case, I have no idea what they plan to do with this property.
I don't either. I've never asked them. I'm guessing they're probably going to tear it down and build something else there.
That's what I'm guessing, too. That's the reason why they want the larger lot.
Right. And if they do that, then they will have to meet that setback.
Of course, of course.
Now, as far as any trail, there is a trail in the city engineer's office. You can look in the plat books that they have there, and it shows the old right-of-way and the new right-of-way. So there is some documentation on that,
Awesome.
just right across the street. Right across the hall.
Okay. Are there any other questions, discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Bradford?
Aye.
Chair Casillas?
Aye. Is there any other business to come before the commission tonight? If not, we stand adjourned.